Beginning this Thursday and continuing through mid-July, Fox 8 will do something that's never been done on local broadcast television here in the Piedmont Triad.
We, along with Fox Sports, will broadcast live the largest, most watched sporting event in the world, the 2018 Men's World Cup in Russia. And the man responsible for leading this coverage is tonight's Newsmaker. Not only does he have more than 30 Emmy and Peabody Awards to his credit, David Neill is among the most respected people in sports television. He also has a strong connection to the Piedmont Triad.
This isn't just some sporting event. This is a 4-week fist fight for the undisputed pound-for-pound heavyweight championship of the entire planet, and it's gonna change everything.
That's right. It's the biggest tournament for the biggest sport in the world. Soccer teams representing 32 nations playing 64 games over 32 consecutive days.
The World Cup will be the biggest event in Fox Sports history.
And as executive producer of FIFA World Cup on Fox and vice president of production for Fox Sports, David Neill will essentially be the network's top storyteller. More on that in a few seconds. First, a little background. Neill comes from a television family. His late father, Roy Neill, spent 38 years covering the space program as an NBC News correspondent. In retirement, Roy Neill would live in High Point, North Carolina, where he taught at High Point University.
My father was the consummate journalist. I remember one time when I was in college, and I was a journalism major as well. I wrote a paper my junior year, brought it home, gave it to my dad, and he basically just punctured holes, throughout the story.
But that didn't stop David from becoming successful in television. He'd go on to spend more than 30 years at NBC Sports, where he led coverage and spent time in the control rooms of 9 Olympics, 4 NBA Finals, and many other events. He joined Fox Sports in 2012 and headed up most recently the network's coverage of the 2015 Women's World Cup.
Honestly, Neil, I think the only job that would have appealed to me, that would have made me want to go back to network television, was the World Cup. And so it was beyond fortuitous for me that Fox took the rights away from ESPN.
There is no bigger tournament in the entire world than the World Cup.
So fast forward to the Men's World Cup in Russia.
I decide who our on-air talent are going to be. I decide what our day parts are going to be. So, for example, in Russia this summer, we'll total about 320 hours of television.
How much does it concern you that Team USA is not on the schedule?
Without question, I wish the U.S. were in Russia for the World Cup. The thing is, though, that when the U.S. went out, we didn't lose any of the best players in the world, which may be part of the reason why the U.S. didn't qualify.
No one agrees on the best. Everyone agrees on the 2 best.
So in addition to live coverage of the games, Neill's team will play up those players who are there, their skills, their stories, and personalities. How do you plan on portraying Russia in the broadcast of the World Cup?
We treat the 32 teams as the cast of characters. It's the heroes and villains, the antagonists and protagonists. That's who the teams are. Well, for us, the 33rd character is Russia.
Tea, after water, is the most popular drink in the world, and it holds a very special place in Russian culture.
In fact, National Geographic, which is now part of the 21st Century Fox family and has been covering Russia since 1914, has a crew in Russia and will produce Russia stories for the World Cup broadcasts every day. Have you been talking directly to the Russians, and have you run into any difficulties given the current political international relations environment?
We've encountered zero anti-American sentiment in Russia.
In fact, Fox is the only broadcaster that'll have a standalone set in Red Square in the shadow of the spectacular St. Basil's Cathedral. Neill calls this a signature part of the coverage. What are you most excited about heading into this coverage?
This is where you prove your mettle as a storyteller. But I love the people I work with at Fox Sports, and to go to a big event like this with them that's a dream come true in our business.
David Neill's mom and brother still live in High Point, so he's quite familiar with this area and comes back here often. Again, Fox Sports coverage of the 2018 FIFA World Cup kicks off right here on Fox 8 this Thursday morning at 11 o'clock with Russia taking on Saudi Arabia.